You got to kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you got to take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells. Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Folks, welcome to Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my co-host, Will.
Release the Snyder Cut.
Of course, that's where you went. On this show, we explore both new and familiar movies as we attempt to analyze and interpret them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. And you may notice I sound a little morose today. That is because we are covering the recently released,
the most anticipated film of the year.
Zack Snyder film.
Zack Snyder.
Rebel Moon.
Rebel film.
When I found you in the wreckage of that ship, I considered leaving you. I was afraid you could bring trouble to us. What do you think they want?
We're just farmers. We're not a threat. They won't just kill us, will they?
You're delusional. You think those soldiers will show them mercy? Stop. We're gonna have to fight. I am a child of war. I find warriors to fight with us.
We might stand a chance.
We're searching for soldiers for a fight against the mother world.
I could help you. For a small fee, obviously. You might want to hold on.
I'm here to make you an offer. To give you a chance at redemption.
We are beyond redemption.
What about revenge? This isn't just pursuit of revolution.
I have found her. The most wanted fugitive in the known universe.
It's a new age for the universe.
As of this record, I think this episode is going to drop December 27th. So
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
To all of our
I'm
listeners.
so sorry that Netflix decided to curse us with this fucking bullshit movie for the holidays this year.
I want to point out something because me and Haley were listening to our Holdovers episode.
Yeah.
On the way up to go see Aquaman.
A pleasant Christmas movie. If you need a new Christmas movie to watch, please check out The Holdovers starring Paul Giamatti, not this Rebel Moon movie.
If you need a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So we're listening to it, and, me and you riff, and she was like, man, you really hate King Kong, all this other stuff. She's like, tell me how you really feel. Like, I fucking hate King Kong. I don't know what to tell you. But anyways, so, I share like, oh, I'm so excited about Rebel Moon. And this was last night, and I'd finished Rebel Moon yesterday morning, and I did stay up till 10 p.m. to watch it on the 21st when it dropped because I was excited. And if you listen to the Holdovers episode, you could tell I was excited.
It hasn't even, as of this record, it hasn't even been out for 48 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And in that episode, you're like, but what if it's bad? What if it's just
I knew it was going to be bad. There was no chance in hell it was going to be good.
Yeah, I had a hope.
He hasn't made a good. Well, okay.
I had a hope, dude.
I've heard that Army of the Dead is okay.
It's okay.
But that's maybe the best movie he's made since Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, probably.
Because I will say Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead is really good. Yeah,
decent movie.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like I wanted to go into this review or this discussion stating that I do like some of Zack Snyder's films. I
name them.
Excuse me. I loved Dawn of the Dead. Fantastic movie.
Have you watched it recently?
Not in the last like 5 years. Do I need to go rewatch it?
That's more recent than I thought, but I'm like, I bet it won't hold up because I watched it when it came out.
Yeah,
and I bet if I watched it now, I would pick it apart to pieces.
Well, you know, now that you say that, I'm gonna have to go home and rewatch it. It's fine.
There is a subplot in it that I despised too.
Okay.
And I don't want to witness it again.
Okay. Anyways, and then I actually did like The Watchmen. I remember seeing The Watchmen in theaters.
Oh my God, I forgot that was.
You forgot that was a movie?
I forgot that was him.
Oh yeah, that was him. Yeah, and like, you know, I think The Watchmen like is right up his alley because he doesn't know he doesn't understand superheroes.
In a sense,
he doesn't understand superheroes, and those superheroes are all, you know, morally gray, you know, shitty people and stuff. And like, I know that Alan Moore doesn't like it, but Alan Moore doesn't like anything that is adapted.
No, but Alan Moore. I don't have it in front of me because we're not doing the Watchmen episode.
I know, but yeah,
Alan Moore's takedown of Zack Snyder's like take on that movie was very appropriate.
Yeah, I know, because
he even went after his adaptation of 300, which was written by someone who's essentially become a fascist.
Oh, Mark Miller,
Frank Miller.
Oh, Frank Miller. Sorry,
yeah, Mark Miller, also another comic book writer who is
starting
insane.
to go down the pipeline too.
Yeah, but Frank Miller has written some amazing comic books.
Yeah,
I will give him that. But he is crazy now. Like I think. He made a follow-up to Dark Knight Returns 3.
I remember
it's like,
telling me
it's
this.
like fascist.
Yeah.
Because he originally wanted Batman to like track down and kill Osama bin Laden. And DC was like, absolutely
we can't
not.
do that. No.
And he made a separate comic with like, you know, legally distinct Batman. And it's called like Holy Terror or something. I'm not trying to promote that. Fuck that thing.
Wow.
But Frank Miller's an insane person, but he wrote 300 and Zack Snyder adapted that. That was my first Zack Snyder movie that I remember watching and loved it at the time.
I still like
then
it.
Started to like pick it apart a little bit more and realized like, oh, this movie's actually like super racist and homophobic.
Yeah.
And had like
it absolutely
many
is.
heated arguments about it with other people.
So, okay. So I was going to say like, it's Dawn of the Dead, it's 300 and it's The Watchmen. Those three films I do enjoy.
I will give you, those are probably his best movies.
Yeah. And like, I watched 300 recently. It was this year. That was the last time I watched it because I was on the plane, you know, going to wherever the fuck I was going. And I was like, I haven't seen 300 in a long time. I know that it's bad. Like, I know that it's, as you said, racist and homophobic in all of the weirdest ways. And I know that it like, it makes the Spartans like so, how you say, affable when in all reality, like they were awful people.
Yep.
Even the Athenians did not like other Greeks did not like Spartans. Yeah. But anyways,
and they in the movie they toss the other Athenians aside by being like, oh, they're boy lovers. And I'm like, motherfucker, the Spartans slept with each other. Yes. Like, you can't rewrite this shit and make them like super hetero. And makes me so mad.
I remember seeing that movie and Mike Blackman was like, yeah, that was really weird because Spartans definitely fucked each other.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, what?
It's a known thing.
Yeah.
But
anyways, I'm sorry,
mad.
Rewatching it, like, yeah, all of those things are fucking egregious. But man, it's a good looking movie and it's got great action.
So do the visuals hold up?
The
now?
visuals hold up, dude.
I'm shocked because I would think because of the overt use of CGI and green screen, that it would actually not look good in another 10, 20 years.
Actually, hold on.
Egregious.
No. Let me say this. Now that I'm thinking about it, so you know how in some of the backgrounds of 300, it looks like almost like a painting. Like it's obvious.
Yeah, that's Zack Snyder's thing. Yeah,
but the movie is filmed stylized because it's almost in a grayscale where only like certain things like the helmets that are gold and the capes that are red stand out and stuff. So the backgrounds kind of like fit into this comic book aesthetic. I didn't realize this, but he tried to do the exact same thing in this movie, Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
And it looks awful.
He does it all his movies where he like color grades them to hell. He is, he's become his own director of cinematography lately.
Oh, really?
I think that started on Army of the Dead. Because he used to be very controlling over his DP, whoever he hired for his cinematography, like he would basically like tell them exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
And some directors are like that. They know what they want, and they just hire a guy that is like, I want you to just, when I say jump, you say how high, not you come in here and tell me how you're going to light the scene and stuff. He's like,
right.
I'm going to tell you exactly what I want, because that's the kind of director he is. And I will give him, visually, he knows what he wants to do. Is it always right? But it's better than his fucking scripts. I'll give him that.
Sure.
He can make something visually appealing. He is a great music video director, which is what he was originally. Okay. That's why he skyrocketed to being a film director so fast, much like Michael Bay, because he visually is very distinct and has a lot of flair. All that is to say, he's really letting it he's getting his visuals take away. It's getting away from him.
Yeah.
And he has too much control. It's all going to his head.
Yeah.
And now that he's given a full blank check for this piece of shit on Netflix, we can see all of his flaws laid bare.
It's true.
It's a bad movie, folks.
It's like yeah. Okay. When we were talking about The Creator, right? And I had high hopes.
A great comparison, I think, for this.
This is the only comparison, honestly. Like it's. I had such hope for this movie because, like, I want new sci-fi. Zack Snyder, take it or leave it. Sometimes he knows what he wants to show,
right.
And oftentimes that does, come out on the positive side,
looking like a perfume commercial.
Sure, man. Yeah, you cannot deny that 300 looked great. The Watchmen looked great.
Yeah,
and Dawn of the Dead,
but they're shallow. Like that, all they do is look great. Dawn of the Dead, I know.
I know. That's what I'm getting at. Like I had that was like the bare minimum for this movie for me.
Right.
Like that I was like, okay, this is probably going to be bad because Zack Snyder is not a great director. He's just not good. But hey, at least it'll look good, right? Even then, like this movie was fucking boring to look at too. It's really unfortunate. But like I crave new sci-fi IP, so I had high hopes for this, much like how I had high hopes for The Creator, and in both instances, they're both derivative of other things. And like I know the art is derivative of other art, but like Jesus Christ, you can't put your hand, you can't steal bits and pieces from other sci-fi properties and make it worse. You can't do that. If you're gonna steal, you gotta make it better. You gotta transcend, and he just doesn't do it.
Or at least make it a little surprising. If you're just going to keep ripping off tropes. But no, this movie, like, it was clearly written by a 13-year-old who's seen like 4 movies: Star Wars, Seven Samurai,
A Bug's Life.
No, that's
just
Seven Samurai.
I know. Hey,
he saw a Warhammer book, maybe.
He's
a codex.
he flipped through the 8th edition Imperial Guard codex because it's called Astra Militarum.
Yeah, seriously, the soldiers look exactly like them.
The Cadians,
and so do the spaceships.
So. No, the spaceships don't.
They don't?
No. Okay, so
to me they did, but you would know better.
Yeah, I would know better. Whenever
okay, Mr. Games Workshop.
I am the James Workshop. Anyways, there. Do you want to just talk about the aesthetics of the film, or do you like? What do you want to talk about?
I haven't even hit my preamble. I'm so sorry.
No, go for it. We just went right in.
No, I mean that's what we do, baby.
That's true.
And I will say we're going to be very negative about this film. And like normally I try to shy away from that because there's so many movie podcasts out there that are just like trashing on bad movies.
Yeah.
But we don't really do that. And we've been around we're coming up on our anniversary.
We're getting close.
So, and you were very excited for this movie.
I was.
So I figure, fuck it. Let's go hog wild. Let's completely trash a movie that we had to watch for this podcast that by all means should have been great. Like a director who has, I don't feel bad beating on him because he's so rich and famous, basically.
Sure.
Like he's been given multiple chances with huge franchises to make something great. He's received a lot of criticism, rightfully so, online for all aspects of his career, essentially. And I'm just like, I'm tired of, I need him to go away. Like he has taken up so much air in the room. And it bothered me more when he was in charge of DC because he kept making Batman movies.
Yeah,
and I want there to be a good Batman movie.
Yeah.
And I cannot stand his take on Batman. Like,
well, it's just as bad as his take on Superman. How about
that too? I'm not even that big of a Superman guy, but the fact that he has him kill Zod at the end of Man of Steel, was like I was incensed. I was like, that what? Like, if you want to make a dark Superman, fine, but this was like the Superman
This is
take
the Superman movie
for like 20 years almost. And it was like, well, why would you do this? Like, you're making this movie that was ostensibly going to be great and for kids and stuff. All of a sudden, like he takes a turn. And I'm like, well, this is not Superman. Like, you just can't. It's inherent to the character that he won't kill. We can't.
I know. I was gonna say.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Jared, if you want to have a rant about Zack Snyder at the end, we can really just lay out all his flaws.
So much more prepared.
But let's do the thing.
Well, really quick too.
Yes.
Before I forget this.
Yeah.
We were talking about directors that are like have a lot of visual flair.
Yes.
Here's someone that I thought he was more overlooked than he is, but it's just because I don't like know him by name. Sure. I should say.
Who is this?
His name is Joseph Kosinski.
I don't know who that is.
I went to him because I was like, oh, you know what's a great like original IP sci-fi movie that like gets overlooked a lot by people? Stars Tom Cruise.
Oh, it's I saw that movie.
Oblivion.
Yeah, I own that movie.
It's an incredible movie.
Oblivion fucking rules.
So the story is a little bare, but like it's very serviceable, but it's not the standout. The standout is like how fucking great it looks.
Yeah, it looks great. It's got great soundtrack.
The soundtrack is M83, baby. It's so good.
Yeah, this is the same guy who did Tron Legacy.
So here's the thing. I looked him up and I'm like, oh, this fucker actually makes a lot of great movies. He did Tron Legacy and he did Top Gun Maverick. He did Maverick? Yes.
Oh shit.
He is not overlooked at all. He hasn't become a like mainstay in my mind.
Yeah.
For some reason. Now he will be because I love this guy.
Yeah, so it's actually funny. Aaron, my brother-in-law, suggested Haley get me Oblivion for the holidays.
Good call,
a couple
Aaron.
Years ago.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, it's the guy who did Tron Legacy. I know how much Will loved that movie. I know how much he's into M83 right now. And they did the whole soundtrack. And Haley was like, hey, here's this movie. It was suggested. I don't like if you don't like it, we can just return it. I was like, I'll watch it, whatever. I watch it. Fucking great. It had Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need. You put Morgan Freeman in there? You get M83, make it look good? I'm here, baby.
Yeah, I love that movie. I think I just put it on randomly on Netflix streaming like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
whoa.
Floored. I was like, holy shit, this movie. Like the soundtrack, the visuals, even the story, like it's serviceable. It wasn't like super original, but it wasn't hackneyed or derivative, you know? I was like, this is great. I'm having a great time.
Yeah. So sorry.
Everybody. What a great episode we're having. Okay. The full title of today's movie is Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. There. The movie was released this year, 2023. In fact, less than a week ago as of airing of this episode. It is a Netflix original, so it's available on Netflix now. The movie stars Sophia Boutella, Charlie Hunnam, and Ed Skrein? Skrein. The synopsis of the film is when a peaceful settlement on the edge of a distant moon finds itself threatened by armies of a tyrannical ruling force, a mysterious stranger living among its villagers becomes their best hope for survival. Yeah, it's derivative is the word.
Yeah.
The film was directed by Zack Snyder and written by Shay Hatton, Kurt Johnstadt, and Zack Snyder. As we have come to expect for a Zack Snyder film, Rotten Tomatoes has a low critic score of 24%. I actually think it's dropped a few more since I've written this.
I remember you texted me, you were like, hey, Rebel Moon's at 16. I was like, oh no, that's not good. And then it jumped up to 25.
Yeah, I think it was at 22 last time I looked too, actually. And a significantly higher audience score of 73%.
Which I remember listening to some podcasts or some people talk about it and like they left a review just straight up saying, I haven't seen the movie, but I'm leaving a positive review because fuck the critics.
Exactly. So
Rotten Tomatoes is not a good way to...
I agree.
Yeah.
Specifically because of hot bed controversy movies like this one. Because there is, if you're not aware of this, God bless you, like you are, blissfully ignorant of this. So that's a good thing. Zack Snyder has ignited some of the worst contingencies of the internet. And he has these weird fanboys who think that everyone else is wrong and his movies are great and amazing and blah, 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 blah. And nobody can say anything wrong.
Because they're not woke.
Or I think that is part of it.
It is part of it.
Because like Zack Snyder won't lean into that intentionally, but he will acknowledge them and throw them bones and stuff. But he won't like overtly like say something, like alt-right or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he flirts with it. And I'm going to get into it in this movie as well. But anyway... The worst contingencies on the internet love this movie, or love Zack Snyder films, I should say. And so you cannot get an accurate like polling of people's opinions on his movies because of that, because they will go in and try to skew it essentially. So that is why his audience scores are always so much higher than his critic scores. It's because it's not an honest assessment. It's because there are people there messing with these statistics intentionally.
Yeah.
The film's budget was $166 million, astronomical amount of money especially for how bad and derivative this movie is.
Yeah.
It is a Netflix film, so there is no box office. So
That's
Netflix
fine.
just kind of lit that money on fire. Writing for Perth Now, film critic Wen Lai Ma said of the film, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, is a derivative space opera that indulges in Snyder's worst maximalist impulses. It is a sensory assault, a punitive experience that can be summed up in one word, loud. I didn't get that in the second half of her impression
The
about
loud
it
part?
being loud and a sensory assault because I didn't see this in a theater. I watched this on my television at home. Like 99% of people will because it's a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
But I imagine a lot of film critics saw this, in theaters or at least in like maybe bigger home theaters.
Right.
And I can understand why that would be worse.
I can't imagine sitting in a theater and seeing this fucking movie. I would have been bored to fucking tears.
Absolutely.
Continue. I'm sorry.
That's the end of my preamble. Now I have a plot summary and then some things I want to go over. Do you want to jump into that?
No, yeah, do the plot summary. It's fine.
Okay. So I kind of wrote up the film as I went, but I'm brief about it, I should say.
Good, because...
because there's not a lot to say.
There
honestly.
isn't. No, there's not.
So we open on a vaginal space warp with a phallic spaceship which enters, and we get a generic voiceover by Anthony Hopkins about an assassinated king of an empire.
That did happen. that did actually happen. Holy shit.
Then we see the most green screen ass farm where a beautiful Algerian model is plowing land in what is essentially a tradwife planet, which is complete with beautiful Aryan people. I didn't give... Okay, listener, I haven't told Will. We haven't spoken at all about this movie, and I could not wait to drop this on him. Because it's right. You know it is.
Oh my God. I didn't realize Sofia Boutella is Algerian.
She's Algerian, but the way she is filmed and lit in this movie is white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not.
I understand that. Anyway, I digress.
But yeah,
she is living amongst the trad white Aryan people of this.
This is true
of tradwife planet,
except for some weird reason. The guy that she ends up going on this quest with, Gunnar, is 100% like Argentinian or something.
Oh, is he really?
I'm almost positive.
Well, here's the thing.
Actor is not.
Do you know the history of Argentina?
Yes, of course I know the history of Argentina. I sent you a fucking thing on Instagram.
That's right.
Today about it.
When she's ethnically German and Algerian or Argentinian.
And he's like, don't ask where her grandfather was
in the 40s.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So then we see the most green screen ass farm where a beautiful Algerian model is plowing land, Sofia Boutella, in what is essentially Tradwife planet, which is complete with beautiful Aryan people seemingly plucked out of a German-American farm from 200 years ago and dropped on this moon. I should say with beautiful Aryan people, I don't mean to include Sofia Boutella among them, but she is clearly like a recent immigrant, and we find out she landed there like a few months ago. And she's just like a recent, inductee to this community. A bunch of pioneer reenactors that also happen to all be super ripped are just humble farmers, and then they are one day accosted by Soviet-looking officials seeking their grain. After brutally killing the trad leader, a small squadron of undisciplined Warhammer-ass soldiers are left behind to do something, and with them is Anthony Hopkins' robot. We learn that since the king of the empire has been assassinated, the robot soldiers have become docile and crestfallen. I thought this was going to lead to a bigger plot point, and I guess they're just saving it for the sequel because we never see this robot again after.
It's definitely for the Snyder cut of Rebel Moon.
You're right. Because just like I was saying this earlier, just like the John's whole like arc in Justice League, that Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
He appears for like 3 seconds in the theatrical cut, and in the director's cut, he actually has scenes.
Oh, also, Michiel Huisman, who is Gunnar. I'm so sorry. He's from the Netherlands. So he actually fits right in with the rest of the people.
Yeah. Now, would you believe that the attempted sexual assault of a beautiful Aryan woman by the government soldiers is what sets the rebellion of this community in motion?
Wow, I never would have thought about that.
We learned that our main heroine, Cora, Sofia Boutella, used to be a soldier herself and had recently crash landed on Trad Planet, but is now ready to lead a rebellion against the Empire. Cora, with one of the guys from the farm, the guy you were just talking about, head to a neighboring town to search for fellow rebels. And hey, it's an Edo period Japanese village stocked with aliens.
Yep. Sci-fi Edo, Japan.
That's where I really slow down on the plot, to be honest with you, because honestly, the movie kind of just like decides to not do anything interesting anymore.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I thought there would be a lot more world building, but honestly,
no, it's depressing. But keep going.
So, Will, isn't it funny that when the gross pigman alien is gay and wants to have sex with the male lead, so they have to kill him?
Wow, I never would have guessed. Holy shit, that's crazy. You know what's also really funny? They did it in Star Wars. They did the exact same scene in Star Wars.
Well, it wasn't him trying to sexually assault Luke Skywalker.
No.
It was like, I don't like you.
No.
My friend doesn't like you either.
I know. But what I was getting at was like,
no, it is a complete ripoff. It was
the
like,
same
we
thing.
just walked into what's the name of the bar? It doesn't have a name.
It's oh god.
They might as well have been playing jizz when they walked in. It is, isn't it?
Is that the name of the bar?
I think it is Mos Eisley Cantina. Because that's the name of the song that's playing. Yeah,
whatever. But yeah, like they did the same scene, but somehow made it worse.
Almost every single scene, or even plot development in this movie, you can find in 5 other movies. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I did like that he did grab his dick, though. You know what?
He grabbed his dick.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate real here. I am so glad that we got gay representation in a modern day sci-fi film.
Wasn't it also funny when the evil army general is relaxing by being sucked off by these black phallic leeches?
Yeah, dude, it's fucking rad as fuck, man.
I don't know that Zack is openly homophobic, but he certainly has a history of portraying male homosexuality and nearly anything outside of traditional heterosexual roles as foul or signs of evil. Another example would be Xerxes in 300.
Yeah, Xerxes was pretty egregious.
Yes. Also, take a shot every time a person we're not supposed to like in a Snyder film is not beautiful in a traditional Western sense, i.e. fat, ugly, non-white, or is disfigured or handicapped, or is gay-coded.
You'll be dead by the end of this movie.
Anyway, what follows after this scene is a montage of characters. Cora rapidly recruits to form her rebellion army. They all readily accept being recruited with seemingly no conversation or hesitance. They simply have side quests that need to be completed.
Jared, somebody, I read a review, and someone when put a bow on this real easy.
Yeah,
they were like, we get a 5-minute montage of each new character. They're supposed to be badass.
Yeah,
we see like maybe 1 or 2 instances of them being badass, and then they fade into the background for the rest of the movie.
They don't even go,
crazy.
Hey, we want you to do a thing. Like, it's probably a suit. We don't even get an interesting conversation or back and forth where they're like, well, what are we doing? Like, maybe I want to do this, maybe I don't. Or maybe they're like honorable and they're like, of course I'll do that. I would love to save some humble farmers. Because like Seven Samurai, which did this originally 70, no, oh my God, it might even be older than that. Seven Samurai is from the 50s. So yeah, I guess it's about 70 years old.
It is 70 years, yeah.
Did this so much better. And first, like the montage of where he's recruiting the other samurai is incredible. It's so good. And even honestly, some of those scenes get ripped off for this movie too, in a worse way. So like when she recruits the...
It's been a very long time since I've seen the original Seven Samurai.
I actually want to cover it one day.
No, we should.
I love it.
We should. I've
seen
seen
an
the
amazing
remake.
film.
I've seen the remake and I've seen 13 Assassins, which is essentially Seven Samurai.
Right. There's... Well, and the Magnificent Seven. Like you could name a million movies that are, you know, essentially in Buck's life even, as
Buck's
we
life.
said. But the... who's the lady with like the lightsabers that fights the Spider Woman?
She's Nemesis.
So that's sort of similar to how the first samurai gets recruited, because there is like a bandit hiding like with a holding a child hostage, and like near the beginning of the film when they're first looking for someone to hire the farmers.
Yeah.
And you see like how he is like so courageous and like kind of cunning too. I don't want to spoil it because I want people to check out Seven Samurai. It is amazing how a movie that's so old can still surprise you and like engage you.
Yeah.
It's so good. Anyway, this isn't the Seven Samurai rant. We're almost done with the film, baby.
Yeah, we're almost
because
done.
That montage like wraps up real fast. None of it's interesting, I'm sorry to say. So after securing all of her allies, Cora and her team are betrayed by the first recruit and turned over to the evil Empire guy. The humble farmer guy that's been tagging along is able to stand up and release the other rebels, and a large fight ensues. The rebels manage to win the battle with some casualties, and Korra seemingly defeats the antagonist, although he simply fell off a platform, so it's not unlikely that he reappears in Rebel Moon 2, Rebel Harder. Now, I wrote that before the last 15 minutes of the movie are actually him being rescued and resuscitated by the weird monk-looking dudes that are actually wearing outfits that kind of look like Persian emissaries from 300 too.
Whenever we get to the aesthetics of the film and I can start talking about Warhammer,
those guys are Warhammer as fuck,
I will
aren't they?
explain everything.
I will say, you would think this movie would at least be visually inventive and fascinating, and I really didn't think so. However, maybe some of the most interesting visuals were when they're resuscitating evil guy at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually neat to look at.
It was a different thing.
Because we're seeing them like revive. I guess he's like an android too, because he has like a big plug in the back of his head that they peel back.
Yeah. I think that actually leans into the reason why he was getting sucked off by weird black tentacle things.
I thought that was just like a pleasure thing because it looked like he was just being like...
I believe that they do those things like emit electricity. And if he's like...
they're like eels instead of leeches.
Yeah, so if he's like part cyborg, I think it's just like... Have you ever seen that episode of Futurama where Bender gets addicted to jacking on? Where he'd plug himself into wall jacks to buzz himself electricity?
Probably.
He gets high doing that, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was...
Oh, okay.
I associated the two.
Oh, it's still like a pleasure thing, though. And not purely
it's a
like
pleasure thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or is it going... Okay, so he is being like revived by these like monk dudes or something. And in doing so, he also, I guess, is transported to like a...
He's not transported. He's communicating with the current emperor Belisarius through the warp. It is literally 40K.
So
like,
it's in his
head.
Okay. So it's not like they're physically in a realm somewhere, right?
No, he's projecting his soul essence into the immaterium.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I couldn't like verbalize it.
Yeah, Zack Snyder fucking plays Warhammer.
Oh,
I know for a fucking fact he plays Warhammer because
him and Cavill,
Xerxes. Well, no, it's not even that.
Not just that.
For 300, Xerxes was so Slanesh coded, it's fucking unreal. Like when I remember when Leonidas, no, not Leonidas, the guy who eventually betrays all the Spartans, who is obviously ugly and disgusting, and whatever.
The one who Snyder in the comic, he looks like all the other Spartans.
Yeah.
But Snyder, I don't know if Snyder actually is the one who rewrote it, but Snyder's film portrays him as actually like disfigured and deformed.
Yes.
And that's why he's evil in the end, of course.
Yes.
But anyway.
So he goes to Xerxes' camp and he's inside the tent and there's like a person with a goat head and there's like, obviously transcoded like characters.
Yes.
That's Slanesh. That's Warhammer Fantasy Slanesh. Slanesh, for people who are fucking weirdos like me, is the god of excess, pleasure, and pain.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when they're portrayed in the models and the lore, they look like that. I mean, if I pulled up the Warhammer Fantasy stuff right now for Slanesh and showed it to you, you'd be like, oh, all of that is the Persians in 300. It's like, it's the same thing. So after watching this movie, I know for a fucking fact that Zack Snyder 100% is a fan of Warhammer for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Are you done with your little thing? Do you want to start just tearing into it? You want my plot summary?
Yeah. What you got?
It's 7 Samurai, but make it Rome and make it 40K. And that's it.
Most of the review snippets I saw were it's essentially just 7 Samurai but Star Wars, and it's like that couldn't be more derivative. Like even by today's standards, like come on.
It's unreal. Like the soldiers for the motherland, which are the fascists, are they're Cadians. They're Cadian Astra Militarum soldiers. But
even I know enough about Warhammer to know that's accurate.
But he did go the extra step of making their armor look like it has filigree to be reminiscent of Roman legionaries. Even the robots that they have on their like the I'm almost positive I saw a screenshot. They're from the Mechanicus Militarum, which is just taking
you saw this in Rebel Moon.
Yes, JC13, the Anthony Hopkins one introduces himself. He says JC, a bunch of numbers, and then says part of the Mechanicus Militarium.
I missed that.
And it's
That's just Warhammer coding.
You take Adeptus Mechanicus and Astra Militarum, drop the two A parts, and slap them together.
That's so lazy.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
we know he's ripping things off, but that's so lazy.
It's so bad. And then like, but here's the thing: is there's parts of me that want this. You know, I want
on paper. This is just junk food for you.
Yes, but it was so okay. So, do you want to talk about our watching experience? Because like,
I mean, I was sitting, you know, in a bed holding my baby, watching it on a TV. Nothing to, you know.
Okay, well,
nothing special.
I
that's the same way I watched Glory, and I actually was like, wow, Glory's actually pretty good. So that's not to say that like that kind of experience, you know, tainted the movie, you know.
So because I was excited about this film and knew that it was probably going to be bad because Zack Snyder does not have a great track record.
Yeah.
I went in with an altered state of mind, and
I mean, please, you took an edible.
Yeah, I took an edible.
People are going to think you took like LSD
like,
or something.
I don't normally like fucking do shit like that.
Right. We're both pretty
straight edge.
We're not really straight edge, but we're pretty like.
Yeah.
I mean, we barely drink, right?
Yeah,
like, you don't drink.
I don't
anymore
drink that much.
even.
Yeah. So, but when I do that, like, you know, time drags on, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm on my couch.
Oh, so the movie was extra boring.
Dude, hold on. So,
whereas it should have been more fascinating.
Yeah, I know, right? So I'm on my couch. I'm really comfy, and like it's the recruiting process, and every single recruitment thing felt like it took a million years. At the point where, you know, Charlie Hunnam is about to betray everybody, I'm like, I am so fucking bored. I'm falling asleep. It's 11:15. I shouldn't be this tired.
Yeah,
falling asleep. Fuck it. I'm just gonna go to bed. Wake up in the morning, like, fuck, I gotta finish this goddamn movie. Put it on. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I missed something. Maybe like because I was high.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I just forgot something.
Maybe
like,
you should be sober watching the movie.
Yeah. So I rewind it, you know, just on Netflix, and you can see like the little bits and pieces. Like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. So I didn't miss anything. This movie's just boring as fuck. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
And it's just so unfortunate. But like I was live texting some friends about it, and I was just like, oh, it's just Rome. Like the bad guys are just Rome, and all of the other places that they're going to is just sci-fi Scandinavia, sci-fi Korea, sci-fi Japan.
Yes.
And like not even like great sci-fi.
And not even being like clever about it in ways that are like, oh, look at this like nice little touch. Like, no, it's literally just like they showed, you know, real pictures of cities to the concept artist.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, just do this. And then drop an alien in there.
Right. And then, so like my boss, whom I love, you know, I told him like, hey man, I watched,
oh no, do we have a Snyder stand?
No.
Okay.
We don't. So I you know, was like, hey man, I watched Rebel Moon. It's not great. We're probably gonna have to sue them. You know, because they stole so much from our IP, right? So he texted me yesterday before I go see Aquaman. 40 minutes in, and I'm really enjoying Rebel Moon. It's extremely derivative of 40K. Like the Blood Axe is an orc clan.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Imperium, Militarium, all that stuff, but enjoyable nonetheless. And it's like, wow, I fucking hated it. I thought it was boring as fuck, and nothing happened. And he's like, I'll report back when it's done. Not shortly after that, because 40 minutes in is the montage of them recruiting people. He goes,
that's when it gets super boring.
Yes.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, is this movie just them running around assembling a crew? I said, yes. And he's like, fucking yikes.
Okay, but even that could be interesting because that's sometimes the best scenes of these movies.
It could be, but it
because like putting the crew together.
Yeah.
Like the Ocean's movies, some of their best stuff is when they're putting the team together.
I've never
you're
seen
like,
any of those.
Ooh, we should do those one day.
I know.
Just the original trilogy.
Sure.
Because I don't care for Ocean's 8.
That's fine.
But Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 are like some of their best scenes are like, okay, we got to put a crew together. Like, who should we get? And then you just like have this great montage of like where you're just meeting like super cool dudes.
They have like really
ladies.
Cool skills. Yes.
Right. And you're seeing them use those skills while like George Clooney and Brad Pitt are watching them from afar being like, okay, he's in, you know, and you're just like that guy's cool. And they're like, oh, look at this guy, you know, and it's like, that's the best part of those fucking movies.
Right. Well, it was the worst part of this movie.
Yeah.
His final review is like nothing really happened and it's not compelling. Yeah. Yes. You're fucking right. That is this fucking.
I'm glad he came around.
Yeah. Like I was really like 40 minutes on what the fuck happened 40 minutes in. Oh, wait, hold on. They're recruiting people. He's about to fucking like.
Yeah. He's about to check out. Yeah. It's crazy how it just tanks once it should kick into gear.
Yeah. And part of some of those recruiting things were other things from Star Wars. Like when they when they recruit the not Native American guy who's not in America, riding not a griffin. That was Anakin in the pod racing.
Yeah.
They literally do a bet thing where they're all going to end up in indentured
We
servitude.
either free the slave or we're all slaves.
Yeah, which is what fucking Qui-Gon did with Watto. The guy was even Watto coded.
Yeah.
So bad. And then another instance of a guy who's fat, ugly, and evil.
And he gets to die. Fuck him. Yeah.
Your sin is you're fat.
He was also a slaver, but they don't seem to take issue with that much, do they?
And he wasn't even a slaver. The guy was he owed a debt, and he was willing to pay off his debt because he owed a debt.
Yeah.
Well,
Watto's kind of a slaver too.
Watto is a slaver.
We never interrogate that in the Star Wars movies.
This is true. No,
in fact, we just feel sorry for him in Attack of the Clones, but I digress.
Yeah.
The structure of this plot is so funny because it's not simply that the ruling empire is evil, right? Actually, the Aryan monarch rulers were good people, we find out, before their assassination, and their daughter, the princess, is the rightful ruler, and she is pure and inspiring. I cannot express how hard I rolled my eyes when we get that little clip of her reviving
with
the bird.
Butterfly or whatever. Oh, the bird.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh my fucking God. And I'm like, of course she's Aryan too. Are you fucking kidding me? The monarchy was usurped by somebody. We don't know yet.
It was hold on. It was usurped by a foreigner that they let in.
So is it okay? Oh, I forgot. We left off. The more interesting scene in the movie is near the end where they're reviving the evil general dude.
Yes, and he speaks to Belisarius in the Immaterial.
Right, and I guess so. He's the new ruler, right?
Yeah, he's the new emperor. Oh, so
and he's the guy that rescued Korra, our main character, right? And recruited her when she was 9 when he invaded her planet and killed everybody,
yes,
right?
It's the same guy.
Okay. Also, he has the worst wig and fake beard in the world in that scene. I was like, the visuals in this scene are really cool, and they're standing on an frozen lake, and there's creatures under the ice, and he's
smashing,
getting pissed off and
really pissed.
smashing the ice, and the creatures are stirring under it.
Yeah,
very cool looking scene. But every time we see him, I am so taken out of how fucking fake his beard and hair look.
Bad.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You can't do better than this.
So a couple other different things. Belisarius with an A is very close to Belisarius Call, who is a 40K character.
Oh my God.
Very big 40K character.
Yeah.
Of course. Fucking stupid. Also, that scene, as cool whatever as it looked like, it's very different from everything else in the fucking movie.
I only want to praise that scene because this is a movie trying to visually wow you, and it's the only scene that actually had me a little interested. But anyway,
that scene made me so fucking angry.
Yeah.
Because Zack Snyder committed the rookiest sin, which is tell, don't show. Because he's like, you think it's a good idea, or it's good news that you found Athenaeus, the greatest soldier we've ever had, and
my daughter,
my daughter, and she's teamed up with General whatever Artax, whatever his name is,
from the Blood Axe or whatever.
No, not from the Blood Axe. He's the Digimon Hunsu. Did I say his name right?
I don't know.
He's the general that they found in the not Colosseum.
Oh, Titus, right?
Titus,
Is his name Titus?
Titus,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. He's the one character's name that I caught because they kept saying it.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone else's name, though.
Right. But he's and she's working with General Titus, the greatest military commander to have ever lived.
Yeah.
He's telling us this, and it's never been shown in the fucking movie.
Well, that's the thing. They're constantly telling you that all the people they're recruiting are amazing.
And we do really nothing.
Don't. Exactly. We get that quick montage and they barely do anything in it.
He doesn't say more than 2 fucking words. They're in an actual firefight. He is not commanding. He's not telling people to take flanking positions or do this, that, and the other. He's just behind a fucking box going with his gun.
Even in the big finale fight,
that's what I'm saying.
We barely see them do anything. And
nothing.
The only person that we see do the most dies.
Yeah.
And even he doesn't do a whole lot. And even his dramatic run up the thing to kill the pilot was kind of lame as fuck.
Because it's oh yeah, I can see this coming, and he just dodges it.
And he's not even running that fast.
No. God, it's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Jesus Christ. Like, I want to see the Snyder Cut just to see, like, if this
It'll maybe
fixes
be like
anything.
10% better, just like the Justice League like recut.
No, the Justice League recut was actually made that movie like way better.
Well,
than what it
okay.
was.
That might be because the theatrical version was recut and reshot by Josh Whedon.
Yes, I agree.
But Zack Snyder did this version.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't think his director's cut is going to be as much better as the Justice League cut.
He did the shit on purpose. He did the shit.
Oh,
on
yeah.
purpose.
Well, because apparently Netflix told him up front, like, give us a PG-13 version and then give us the version that you, is fuller.
I do actually think the PG-13 rating does hold us back.
Absolutely. Okay. We have to break this down for the listener. Sorry. Zack Snyder, of course, does this thing ever since Batman vs. Superman, I think, was the first instance where he wants, a like 4-hour long, like R-rated version of the film. And of course, that's not commercially viable. And the studio doesn't want that because, you're going to sell more tickets by making it PG-13 and making it, short enough that you can actually watch it in one sitting, of course. But, and so like his legions of fans have become like sycophants about like release the Snyder cut. Like that they were saying this for years about Justice League because Zack Snyder had to leave the filming of Justice League very close to the end because of some very serious family issues that I won't get into. But he did leave that film on his own terms because of some serious family drama stuff that came up. And Josh Whedon, who has since been canceled because he fucking sucks, was brought in to like finish the film. And what he did was like essentially recut it to hell and did a bunch of like expensive reshoots. And then years and years and years later, because of the Snyderverse like fanboys, Warner Brothers eventually threw, I think it was like $300 million at Snyder to just like make his own version. So he added more reshoots and like more CGI and put out his version that dropped on, I think, like HBO Max, right? One day.
Yeah, it came out on HBO Max.
I think it was like 2 Christmases ago, actually.
Yeah.
And people were like, hey, it actually is better. It's not a good film, but it's better than what we had.
Yeah, they had a whole plot for Cyborg that just was cut out.
And Martian Manhunter.
And it was like the best part
too. Yeah.
of the movie was the Cyborg stuff. Like it was so cool.
I wouldn't know. I'm not subjecting myself to it.
Oh, okay. Well, you're missing out.
Am I though? Am I?
It's whatever.
But to circle back on a rant that I was going on earlier. So the monarchy was usurped by, we'll find out more of this in the sequel, I guess, but it's assumed by that other guy that is the one that hired Cora or whatever, or recruited Cora. And after the assassination,
Gunner?
No, the one that it was a B word.
Oh, Belisarius. I don't know that
I'm sure he was involved in the assassination plot. That's why he's the ruler now.
It was something from the inside, and then they scapegoated to outsiders because,
100%. Yeah.
At screen when he's killing Levitica, which was 100% Jesus, those were Christians or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they were Christian coded because like Levitica, like that's Leviticus from the book, and also like their whole beliefs is charity and communion or what have you.
Yeah.
And Ed Screen's like charity is what killed our emperor and shit, and before he like clubs the fish person in the head.
They don't actually use words like empire and emperor. But like we are, because that's what we're familiar with, and it's clearly coded as that.
But
I think they're not doing that because that would be a little too obvious.
Dude,
what they're ripping off.
100% get fucking sued. 100%.
Well, those words aren't trademarked, but like it would make it even more obvious than it already is.
Hold on. Actually, Jared, Astra Militarum is fucking trademarked because you can't trademark Imperial
like
Guard.
Emperor and Empire.
Oh, yeah, you can't. But no,
I
those.
I agree.
Like we had a whole fucking lawsuit about that, Jared.
Oh shit, really?
That's the reason why Space Marines aren't Space Marines. They're Adeptus Astartes because you can't fucking copyright Space Marines, dude. Don't.
Yeah.
If you want to, sometime next year, right? Let me do a whole thing on the Chapter House lawsuit. And that's like the reason why we have some really fucking stupid ass names at Games Workshop
that have kind of been retconned in after the fact, right?
I'll absolutely do that for you, but like 100% Adeptus Mechanicus, Astra Militarum, those are copyrighted, and you cannot
because they're unique identifiers as opposed to Space Marine being generic.
Exactly,
right?
You can't just hack off two of the letters and smash them together. You can't do that,
right?
All right, but anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
That's funny. No, I'm glad you did that. But anyway, my whole rant on this, like the rightful ruler thing. So the monarchy was usurped by somebody.
yeah.
Sorry, probably Bellaris or whatever his name is.
Belisarius.
After the assassination of the king and queen, even though it's established that king and queen were expansionists who were warring across many planets, including Korra's own planet. But now that the good king and queen are dead and the empire is even tougher and meaner, and is cracking down even harder on the poor good folk of what I assume must be other trad planets full of hardworking white farmers. Is just a perfect example of like conservatives love to be oppressed, have an overreaching authority to rebel against, but they also love authority so goddamn much at the same time that the leaders they wish to institute over them must also be, you know, Aryan and the rightful heir of the monarchy, so to speak, not like even a meritocracy sort of thing or a democracy. It's what is with monarchists, man? Like even conservatives, like they call Trump like the king or like, you know, emperor and stuff. And like, I know it started as a joke, but there are people that are very serious about it. And a lot of people think that he is essentially appointed by God to be president. And it's like, what the fuck? That's what kings said they were, and that's why they said no one is over. That was the divine right of kings.
It's
to
peasant
them.
brain, bro.
It truly is. It truly 1000%. That's the whole trad bullshit thing. They just want to be fucking peasants, man. My fucking God, it makes me so mad.
I can't wait to go back to peasantry, bro. I just want to till my lands, bud.
Just want to till the soil.
Yeah. I want to pay my debts.
Oh my God, how much fucking this movie is sucking off. You know, like, oh, they're just good people of the soil, and like literally, like the film opens with Korra just like rubbing the dirt with her hand.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
she's
fuck. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This fucking movie.
You had a great time. I can tell. I think you really like this actually on the inside.
I'm glad we're covering it because I get to yell about it. And I rarely yell about how much I hate a movie. I have to commend Snyder a little bit for showing restraint with this film because it is actually slim for him. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. That is for him blissfully short, I will say.
It is.
And I couldn't have taken this movie being any longer, in fact. But having said that, it is important to note that this was clearly the first film of a series. There's at least 2.
This could just be 2. Yeah, Scargiver is
technically there's
the
going to be 4.
What?
Yeah, because there'll be director's cuts.
Oh, yeah.
The director's cut, we have confirmed that there's director cuts of both movies, and they are releasing shortly after the I guess, original cut. But he's cutting both. So like,
just release it.
Just call it the extended cut even.
It's fucking stupid.
You know?
It's so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, there's going to be a much longer director's cut already on the way because of course there is. Will, we should actually cover Seven Samurai one day though. It's been ripped off 1,000 times, but it is timeless.
No, I'd love to.
Yeah, it's been perfected upon. It's never been perfected upon, I should say, because it truly stands the test of time as one of the best films, I think.
You were talking about some of the visuals, like the little red dudes that were walking behind Ed screen, like the constantly the like red guys, the guys in red.
Oh, that have like the big headdress, flat top, mask thing.
So like, if you want to break down like all of the 40K shit that this movie stole, right? So obviously, like the motherland is the Imperium. We all know that. Ed Skrein dresses up like a commissar.
Mm-hmm.
That's obvious. So obviously, or you know, more like a SS officer, but we have commissars in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The guys behind him would either be the ecclesiarchy, the religious wing of the Imperium, or they would be Adeptus Mechanicus, like how do you say, informants or advisors, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I think that they're more Mechanicus coded because A, they wear red, and the Mechanicum typically wear red because they're from Mars. Mars is a red planet. They go hand in hand, right? And 2, I think they were there to monitor him because, as we find out, he's part cyborg. So like they're there to make sure shit works,
right?
But like, there's so much more. When Korra is in the flashbacks and she's wearing Cadian armor and like running up a hill with a fucking flag, that's so fucking Warhammer. I can't stand it.
Right.
And like, God, it's got the visuals, man, but like, it's just so fucking boring. It's such a fucking boring ass movie.
Yeah.
I liked some other things that made me laugh. Somebody pointed out that the lasers, whenever they like hit something, it's supposed to like leave slag, like it's supposed to be superheated, but it was just like cum. It was like they were just shooting cum, and like, you know, it just like everywhere after it landed somewhere.
Well, some of that I wonder too is because it was cut for content, for like an easier rating.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, because it's a streaming movie.
Yeah.
And so like it doesn't get rated by the MPAA, but they didn't want like a hard R, feeling to the movie.
Right.
So I wonder if the director's cut is going to like be more visceral and gory. But who can say?
When
I
the
don't
cum
know.
blasters hit a solid object that isn't a human, it still looks like jizz. So let's leave that there. And then you mentioned like the ships are very Warhammer coded. No, they're not.
I thought they were.
So one thing, no. So this is what I noticed. All the ships are just boats, but sci-fi.
Well, that's kind of the impression I get from the military. What are the human armies? Astromilitarum ships. Just from what I've seen in pictures, haven't seen a ton of them, obviously.
Right.
But.
So if you let's take a trip back to the 90s and let's talk about Starship Troopers. Right. So Starship Troopers is a film that is like, what if fascists were the governing force of Earth, and they had to make a propaganda film to get people to join the military to shoot some bugs, right? Mm-hmm. So all of the ships in Starship Troopers are blocky, right? Because I guess the idea is that fascists aren't artists.
Yes.
They're
mimicking brutalist architecture in a sense too,
right? And so it's almost a defiance of nature, something that should be aerodynamic, right? Should be slender, curved, all that other stuff, very feminine, yeah? And most of the ships, if not all of the ships in Starship Troopers, are blocky. They defy nature. They break the laws of nature with their blunt, sharpened edges, yeah? When you look at all of the vehicles that the Imperium use, most, if not all of them, are just boxes. Even the flying things are just flying boxes, right? That carries over to the spaceships as well. All the large ships are basically like cathedrals that are in space. The ships that the Motherland have are all curved. They're all curved, and they look more like a mixture between a submarine and like a battleship.
Yeah.
But
they're a little sleeker.
Exactly. A modern battleship though, like something like what we would have here. The ship that they're flying around that Charlie Hunnam has kind of looks like a freighter. It looks like a freight ship. Yeah. I thought that was kind of cute that they were like, oh well, let's just do boats in space, which actually kind of makes me think that maybe somebody, maybe not Snyder, but somebody on the design team plays Spelljammer, D&D, which is like D&D in space.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that stuff was like, I don't know, it just reminded me of Spelljammer.
Yeah. Well, like we keep saying, it's derivative of.
Yeah, I mean, they got
clearly plucking things from other established
IPs and shit.
Yeah, and it's oh god,
and then they just like do the worst of it. It was bad. Short and simple. It was boring. Nothing happened. What's the worst part about it, Jared, is that I'm probably going to watch the director's cut, and I'm going to watch the second one because like I already wasted 2 hours. What's another like 7 hours of my fucking life, So just so we can come back and be like, hey, Rebel Moon 2, Rebel Harder is out, and hey, guess what? It still fucking sucks. It wasn't redeeming at all.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Oh, so we know the title of the second one. It's called The Scargiver. But we find out in this one that that's just Korra's like code name or whatever.
Because she gives scars. Woo.
Yeah, great. You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do have final thoughts.
Yeah.
I can't wait 2 or 3 years from now when we have our Kville Warhammer universe and somebody who's not well informed goes, oh, it's just like Rebel Moon.
I truly hope that this movie doesn't become the basis of any sort of fantasy context for anybody. God forbid, like a kid growing up like watched Rebel Moon a lot, and that's like how he establishes like his understanding of like fantasy ideas, because God, that poor kid. They're going to be the kind of person that watches Joker and thinks that it's like, oh, this is like a really interesting and nuanced take on like, mental illness, and being an outcast and things. And I was like, nobody, like people were making movies like this 40 years ago. It's just nobody really cares anymore and thinks it's original. And it's like, if you have never swam in the ocean, you think a pool is deep,
Ooh. That's good.
I'm just quoting people that I've seen
a good quote,
used
dude.
to take. That's not an original thought.
That's a good quote.
Would we recommend this movie? Absolutely fucking
No,
not.
no,
Don't waste
I
your
would not.
time. There are so many better things you can do with your time. There's so many better movies out
You
there.
could literally just jerk off for 2 hours and you have way better time.
Watch any other movie we named in comparison to this.
Listen to 2 of our episodes on literally anything else.
Oh my god, yeah. Listen to an episode of Debaser. You'll have a better time than watching this movie.
Fucking movie sucks so much ass.
Well, folks, thank you for listening to Debaser. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app and follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. We also have a YouTube channel which you can subscribe to. We are looking to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so please check us out. I've been Jared Rusk, and my lovely co-host has been Will Taylor. Will, where can people find you, and do you have anything to plug?
I'm on pocket_infinity on Instagram. I actually am working on a current commission. I will be posting up progress pictures. In fact, I did one yesterday. So if you want to see me do art bad, go follow me on that.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Good night. That's a wrap. Debaser is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to podcast@debaserpod.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening, and take care out there.